Alright, welcome back to the channel, buddy, and I hope you're doing fine. The goal of today's video is to answer the following question. What is the best health bar setup for playing Hunt Showdown? And this video will have only two big chapters. One's gonna be about solo gameplay, and then the other one will be about team gameplay. And with that, let's get started. Let's start with solo gameplay, okay? So that is pretty straightforward. Nowadays you play with 3 big bars, and that's it. That is set in stone. I don't think you can discuss a lot here. Let me explain why. Because in my previous guide, the old one, I said you must have 4 small bars. That is probably the best setup. Because back in the days, Necromancer worked differently. You did not lose Necromancer after self-reviving. So it just worked like in teams. Whenever you got downs, you lost a bar, then you self-revived with 125. And then you could use Necro as many times as you had bars left. So yeah. Nowadays you get only 1 Necro, but it is paired with a restoration effect. So like the banish effect that you get from killing bosses. And yeah, afterwards it's gone. So you get only 1 revive. So with this huge Necro rework, the goal for solos right now is to optimize the survivability in a match. What does that mean? There are a lot of things in Hunt Showdown that easily deal 25 damage, or they are very close to that, but they apply, for example, bleed. A Cleaver Grunt deals a little bit less than 25, but then the bleed ticks will go very quickly over the 25 health points border bar, and then you need already a medkit. Worst case, you don't find one, then you need a Wit Shot or use your own medkit charge, and that is super annoying. Fire damage, be it incendiary ammo, maybe a Torch Grunt in really the worst situation possible. Small bar burns very, very quickly. Also, immolators. Sometimes they do blow up because, well, you spear them and they're a little bit too close. A big bar can tank that. A small bar will just get destroyed immediately. And next up, fire beetles. And nowadays you can get beetles very easily from the trees. And a fire beetle will destroy a small bar when it explodes right next to you. Exception, you run South Skin, then there's a chance that you can save the bar. So we have already a few good reasons why you should not run small bars, as a solo at least. Another one is the normal regeneration can do some heavy lifting, and you can just use that before you need to use a medkit. Let me explain. In Hunt Showdown, when you have mid to long range fights, and your enemy is using, well, some weaker guns, for example compact ammo, but even long ammo at longer distances, when they hit your leg for example, they will deal less than 50 damage. And then you just go behind cover, you wait for the normal regeneration to kick in, to heal you full, and voila, you can maybe win the war of attrition. Having a small bar all the way on the right, yeah, that will get destroyed, well, let's say depleted very, very quickly. So as a solo, I think this is a no-brainer. You take 3 big bars, because with Necromancer you only have 1 revive anyway, and a big bar is just pretty freaking nice against a lot of things in Hunt Showdown. Okay, chapter number 2, we will talk about team gameplay. Now, more bars means more revives, which is good when you fight in a team, because you can die very quickly in Hunt Showdown. Be it that random dual-wielding Sparks pistol headshot at 60 meters, or playing against gods that do not miss. The thing is though, the more small bars you have, you will also need more healing. So there will be a trade-off discussion in this video. On top of that, Crytek added a restoration shot. The restoration shot lets you, well, restore a destroyed health bar, which means you can be a little bit more greedy with your bar setup. So I would say we jump into the sub-chapters of this video and discuss various health bar setups. Let's go. And I think we should start with a classic, this one right here. Big bar, small, 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 small. In my opinion, this is the easiest and safest choice when it comes to health bar setups when you play in a team. Super straightforward. When you're new to Hunt Showdown, you should probably run this one, especially when you might be low on money, or, you know, we will talk about that in a second. Why is this the easiest and safest way to play Hunt Showdown? Because it gives you the most revives. Again, Whenever you get downed, you lose a bar. More bars means you can get downed more frequently and lets you play the game a little bit longer. And honestly, you can get downed in Hunt Showdown ridiculously quickly. Be it the super skillful, dual-wielding Sparks pistol headshot at 60 meters, or you're playing against gods with, well, crack aim and they just hit you non-stop. So having some extra bars, especially when you're playing Hunt Showdown for the first couple times, is important. Now, a restoration shot, in my opinion, is always recommended for team gameplay, but it's not super necessary for this one. Keep in mind though that there are a lot of weapons in Hunt Showdown that can easily deal over 125 damage, and they're very common. Basically all long ammo, with maybe 1 or 2 exceptions like the uppercut, but keep in mind that maybe in a couple patches this will change again. But also a Springfield or Everill, they can deal over 125, you lose a bar, you die to body taps. There are a few things that you have to be careful though when you run the big small. You are vulnerable to fire. I mentioned already the Fire Beetle. So when you run this, soft skin can save a bar. And also against incendiary ammo, which you do see actually quite a bit lately, is probably a very good pick. It kinda depends on your experience. Do you lose that bar very often to the environment? Then run soft skin, otherwise just pick other traits. I think I will also do a video in 1 or 2 weeks where we discuss all the traits you should pick when you play solo or in teams. But hey, that's for a different video. In my opinion, this bar setup should be paired with lots of healing utility. For example, you take Witness. Witness is a trait when you go into Dark Side and you're close to AI that just recently died, or a player that is dead, you can heal with that over the bar borders. So whenever a Cleaver Grunt hits you and for whatever reason you're not able to stop the bleed in time and you lose the 25 bar, you can use Witness on the Grunt that you just killed to get that healing back. Or you run a regeneration shot. The regeneration shots got nerfed and they're also expensive, so I would just run something like Resilience and Witness. Let's see. Now, big, small. Let's check out a different setup. And before we talk about the next one though, it would be much appreciated when you take a few seconds of your time to like the video to support my guides. I've recently started doing guides again. They're super fun, and although I said I don't want to do guides anymore, people requested it, so I think it's time to refresh some of the old ones. But enough of that, thank you very much. We're gonna have a look now at big, small, big. That is something that I would not have played a couple patches ago. This is the high risk, but also high reward setup. So you have a big bar on the right, and we explained it already in the solo setup, why that's so good and why it protects your mats. In this loadout though, or in this bar setup, let's put it that way, a restoration shot is an absolute must. Playing that one without a restoration shot, that might backfire very quickly in a long drawn out fight. This setup might backfire regardless because, well, in long fights you get probably downed multiple times. First time you get downed, you lose the 50 bar, you take your restoration shot, bam, you're back to 150. Awesome. But what happens when you get downed the next time? Suddenly you need to fight with 100. Do you run multiple restoration shots? Maybe you run multiple restoration shots in your team. That's, for example, what we do. But otherwise, your second down means you fight with 100. And boy, that's not fun. And then there is one more thing that a lot of people do not consider when they play this bar setup. And it is the fastest burnout from all setups. Getting downed with the other setups, well, you have 125 and you burn from 125. Well, I know, quick math, thank you very much. But with this one, you start burning at 100, which significantly reduces the time that your teammates have to support you. So this is up to you. This is something that I would play with restoration shots in a regular group where I know we play multiple restoration shots, then this can be really good. Okay, but there are more bar setups. Let's check them out. Next up, let's discuss this one. That's an interesting one. Big, small. And I would label this the value setup. So when you get downed, you still have 125, making you a little bit more durable than compared to, well, you get rest with 100, and this can matter. When you have only 100 left because you lost the big bar on the right and your teammate necros you, well, you better not be in any bear traps or other stuff. With 125, your survival rate goes up. Also, when people, for example, with a wind field try to body tap you, you can still survive that. So you will feel a difference when you play this long enough. A restoration shot, in my opinion, is recommended, but let's be real here for a second. The restoration shot, the moment you play in a team, is always recommended to at least run one. But in case you can't afford one, or for whatever reason you don't want to run it, with 125 you're still doing good. Just don't get down a second time, because otherwise you fight with 75, and then your life will be miserable. So this is a balance between endurance and greed. So you fight with 125, you have again the big bar on the right then, after getting down for the first time. And we discussed already plenty in the first part of the video why a big bar all the way on the right can be so freaking strong. So I would call this setup the after getting ambushed setup. So are you the guy who gets headshotted first from your team and your team gets ambushed non-stop? Then, well, maybe this bar setup is for you. And on top of that, you still have the maximum burn duration. Now, there is one more setup that we have to check out. And that is the big, big, small, small. I mean, you can run that. I don't really know why you would do it. I saw a few people when I spectate them to run this, so maybe there's a reason to play that. But if there is, I think the other setups are better. So this setup, just avoid it. Because a big bar having between, you know, the 50 and 100 HP range is pointless. Because the moment you're that low on HP, you want to have maximum revives. Because once you are at 100 or lower and you lose that bar, you fight with a 50, and when you get burned, you burn out super quickly. So a big bar in the middle, I think, is a big no-no. You don't want to do that. The moment the fight is so dire that these last two bars start to matter, well, you want as many revives as possible there. So I personally think this is not good, but maybe there are a few reasons why people run this. Maybe they also don't pay attention and they play a sole survivor hunter that, well, they can come with random bars. But keep in mind, you can always adjust your bars before jumping into bounty hunt or bounty clash. Okay, enough talk. I wanted to keep this video somewhat short, and I hope you enjoyed that. And with that, let's roll the outro. Nice. So I refreshed my old guide, and I think it's something that I get asked frequently. So I'm happy that we finished that. The next one will be, what traits should I pick when I play solo or in teams with a new hunter? I'm already writing the script for that one. As always, a big shout out to my patrons. Thank you very much for supporting me over there. You guys, I can't thank you enough. You're awesome. Thank you for watching another guide in the back. Feels like the old times from Hunt Showdown, where I did so many guides. I see you in the next one. Until then, have a good day and bye bye.